Hi friends, welcome back. Just last week I was talking about how much I love alien films when I did my new tier video about subgenres and themes, and today it's finally Alien Day, and this is a pretty big day for those who celebrate because we have Alien Romulus, the new addition to the Alien franchise, this one directed by Fede Alvarez. This one follows a group of young colonizers who come into close contact, with some of the most terrifying life forms in the universe. Fede is known for his work within the genre Evil Dead, Don't Breathe. I am excited to see what he does with this franchise. And I did watch the trailer. I don't usually watch the trailer, but I watched the trailer for this one because I felt like there was no real spoilers. An alien film usually is an alien film. I know what the creature looks like. I know that Alvarez sought out the special effects crew from the original Alien film to work on the creatures, and wherever possible, he did use practical effects. This film is meant to take place between Alien and Aliens, so I rewatched Alien today just to get myself back into that atmosphere. But the idea was originally sparked from the Aliens film. In a deleted scene in the special edition, Alvarez was inspired by seeing a bunch of kids running around the corridors of the colony. And he thought, hey, what would it have been like for these kids when they reached their early 20s? And last fact, this one was actually originally scheduled for a Hulu release. So this is meant to be a VOD film. It's so strange when films are scheduled for streaming release and then they get pushed to the cinema. We've seen issues with this before, totally unrelated, but the Mean Girls musical more recently. And I do worry because this is such a large scale operation. I don't know why they would have made it smaller for the small screen. I'm excited that it does get a big screen release, but I really hope there was no restrictions because of the initial plans for the film. But there's only one way to find out. I'm gonna take you along. I'm a big fan of the series. In fact, I've done a whole breakdown, probably the biggest video I've ever done. The most amount of work I've ever put into a video was a breakdown of the entire franchise. You can check that out up here. It might be good to rewatch to get in the mood. But I'm about to take you to go see the new Alien film and let you know whether it's worth your time spoiler free, because there's only one way to find out if it's gonna stick the landing. And I'm excited. Let's go. I want to get terrified in space. No one can hear you scream in the cinema. A lot of people can. Let's go. Oh my... Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. What the heck? I did not expect to be shocked by that film, but it really caught me off guard. I have a lot to say, and it's important that I put this all in context because this film is solid, absolutely solid, but not perfect. And it's a really strange balance, but ends up being the best payoff for the audience. I thought this film would be completely removed, not from the franchise obviously, but removed within its storyline. But I can give you a hot tip. It is really good to rewatch the first one before watching this one. I obviously said at the start, this one takes place directly after the first one, but I think the payoff is very good if you have a lot of details fresh in your brain. I thought this would be a little bit more removed because of the idea that this was going to be a straight to VOD production, and I'm so glad that they didn't do it like that because it's absolutely criminal. I've come to the conclusion. I think it's a criminal offense to make any alien film a direct to video and not give people the chance, just the chance to see that on a big screen. The film is about a bunch of kind of rebel kids who, I guess they're in their 20s. I think they're meant to be in their 20s. They're living on a colony and they want out, and they find kind of a loophole which requires them to go elsewhere to find an exit strategy. I love that this film really got into it quite fast. The exposition with the characters and learning about them definitely is very well done, very thought out and scripted well. Very much similar to the other Alien films in the franchise. It doesn't over-explain itself. It lets you discover details as you go along, and I really enjoyed that. It kind of got straight to it, but it also pauses on the action, and the action takes a while to kind of get in, but that is what is so good, again, about the Alien films, especially the original Alien films. It lets you be sucked into the setting, the aim, the objective of the characters, especially being from this time period and in this kind of dystopian world where they have these objectives and jobs and duties that they have to do. So I like there is a focus and then things go awry, and I feel like it follows that structure very similar to the original films. And when I say original films, I mean it's kind of hard because obviously Prometheus is technically first, but the original Alien films, it felt very similar. I think that this film does a terrific job at gelling the stylization to where it's meant to fit in the franchise. It looks fantastic, absolutely gorgeous, and you can really tell it utilizes a lot of props, practical effects, but also even some visual effects that mimic ones back when the first Alien came out, which I thought was a really nice touch. Kind of updates some. I will say there's a couple of special effects, more CGI orientated, I didn't love, but I understand why they had to go that route. But I do think that there were some things that didn't quite land. I also do think, as much as the aliens themselves, the xenomorphs, they look fucking phenomenal, a lot of what we see in this film is shown in the dark, and I feel like they're trying to mask some things and some reveals. Even some of the action scenes seem like you don't get that full payoff because there is a darkness, there's things hiding in the shadows, and I just would have loved to see a little bit more, and I just don't know if that was purposefully done because they couldn't fully flesh out how to create these really elaborate action scenes. And let me tell you, they're elaborate. We will get to it. We'll get to it. The thing that I didn't like about this film, or didn't love about this film, was although I really liked how we got straight into the story and straight into this stylization, and I didn't even touch on the music, but the music is so adventure, epic, very much mimicking the original soundscape. It really puts you back in that time period. I loved it. But the structure of the film goes from this really exciting setup and opportunity, and then you kind of feel like you get into the groove with the film and kind of see where it's going. And from there, for a huge chunk of it, although there's a lot of action and there's a lot of really cool visuals, I feel like it feels very easy to watch. And although I was shocked and loved how much effort they put into, I guess, a lot of the entities in this film, I felt like we were kind of going through the motions for the objective that we talked about earlier. So I do feel like at one point of this film, the viewer can get comfortable, and maybe too comfortable in what is happening. But there's a huge but. This film, the ending of this film is fucking fantastic. Absolutely. Oh my god. Everyone, the whole crowd was shocked. You could hear everyone at the same time. It was amazing. And that happens. There's a couple of really cool logistical elements in this film, kind of things they have to figure out and go through. And once you get over that objective jump of they've got to get to here, you know, they've got to, you know, be safe. It really does have a lot of surprises and challenges. I just feel like there's maybe 40 minutes of the film that just feels a little bit stagnant or just going through the motions. And I don't know if that's pretty typical for a film that it has to be straightforward. It's a story of survival. And I don't think it's a problem really with the duration of the film, because all Alien films are around 2 hours, and it does make sense. They're meant to be epic. They're meant to be adventure. It's meant to be, you know, a full circle situation, and they're meant to go through so many hardships and start off really thinking they're strong and very capable at the start, and then they, you know, go through all this turmoil. So it makes sense, but I do feel like I don't want to say plays it safe, but really just goes through the motions for part of the film. But when it picks back up, it's fantastic. And there is elements in this film, I can tell you, there is elements in this film that people will be talking about for a long time. I almost forgot that it was by Fede Alvarez, and then when something happened in it, I was like, oh yeah! He's really coming in with that signature move. It was brutal and I absolutely loved it. I do think that all bets are off for these films as well, which I like. Nothing's really safe. No one's safe. Nothing's safe. And there's a lot of kind of, I wouldn't say like twists and turns, but there's a lot of really fun surprises in there. In saying all of that, this film is definitely catering to fans of the original franchise. I don't think this is, as I said before, you're going to get a better payoff if you have the original film fresh in your mind, if you know it well, or if you just rewatch it. I don't think it's going to work the same for people who just see it out of nowhere. It will make sense to them, but it will be still just a little bit strange. It does a lot of fanfare, and I could see people maybe commenting on the fact that it's riding off the other film's success and structure and what makes the other film so special to do that of its own. I feel like with Alien, it's either too similar, the films, or too completely different and people don't like them. So maybe this is really cool because it's kind of playing it safe in the middle. But I totally don't think it's playing it safe. I just think it's very similar to the original films and not so much to the later films. I really enjoyed this film. I can understand because of the fanfare why this may have been considered in its early stages for straight to VOD, straight to streaming. But I am so glad I got to see this at the cinema. Like I said, it is definitely criminal that this film, the way it finished, that they would have, I don't think they would have even considered putting it straight to VOD, and I'm really glad that they went with this. It's a lot of fun. It's a solid film. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking, but I think it's very solid in the franchise, and it's just a fantastic time at the cinema. Absolutely fantastic. It's got vast, epic landscapes, great characters. I really did feel for them. It is kind of cheesy a little bit. It's a little bit sloppy cheesy, but I was all for it, to be honest. A different kind of angle, but same structure with a few surprises, and the ending is gonna blow your mind. So I'm very happy I got to see this in the cinema. I would give this film a 7 out of 10 for the reasons I've said. It really did kind of not lose me for 40 minutes, but I was just like, okay, is there anything else? Is that all there is? And thank God there was more. For originality, I'm going to give it like a 5. I feel like in writing the script, they really thought out how the world already works and built on that and came up with some logistic nightmares within what we already know about the franchise and how things work within it. And for scare, I shrieked a couple of times, and gore was fantastic. I'd probably give it a 7. I think it's pretty good, guys. I think it's a solid film, and I think you'll very much enjoy seeing it at the cinema, and I highly recommend doing so. I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this film. It's a fun addition, nothing groundbreaking again, but definitely cemented its spot, and it's a film I won't forget for a couple of visual reasons. If you haven't checked it out yet, I did a tier video very recently about different horror themes and subgenres. If you'd like to check that out, just click here, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.